Can I ask you,
there's
when you
lots
say
of different
socialist, what do
kinds.
you mean when you say socialist then? I'm trying to understand what this means. Can you give me
Well,
like a cohesive, coherent?
that's good. No, let me answer. There are a variety. I'll give you three basic
Oh my
strains right now.
God.
They don't exhaust it, but they're
Like he says, he should have interrupted him again because he's like, the question was, what do you
Yes.
mean when you say socialism? Not like, give me the historical definitions of fucking socialism.
What does
please.
every person on the world mean when they mean? Well,
Right,
it's a
right.
range from. Here, I'll just give you three, but there's usually about 85 definitions.
Simon O'Leary for 20 Nazi dollars. Oh my God, Simon, you Nazi. I mean, New Zealand dollars. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
New Zealand dollars.
Come on.
Yes. Says, my grandparents went to China in the 90s, went to an embroidery factory. There were 18 to 13-year-old girls stitching in the dark.
Oh my
Then
God.
sent home with skills they can't use in their towns because they aren't allowed the materials.
Wow. Yeah, see, they can't even take the work experience with them.
Yeah, look, socialism, you know, there's your amazing socialism in action right there.
Yeah.
Right there, Richard. There's your worker co-op.
Sad, very sad.
we enable to have a conversation. One strain. You leave enterprises in the hands of private capitalists, but you recognize that the capitalist system is so flawed, for example, in terms of inequality, in terms of business cycle instability, that you give a role to the government of massive intervention, rules, regulations, laws. You know, let me give you some examples. In France, it's the law that once you begin.
So to be clear, what he just said is you leave money in the hands of capital, okay, so investors, private investors, but the government has the authority to regulate business.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a country that anyone lives in right now? Let me think about this.
Yeah, sounds like America to me. God bless America.
Is that every capitalist country in the world right now? I don't know. Let me think about it.
Oh, wait, it is pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Maybe there's the anarcho-capitalist whore island somewhere out there.
Capitalist
Someone lives
democracies. Yeah. Capitalist democracies. Yeah.
One definition of socialism is currently every capitalist country that currently exists.
Oh, this is his definition of socialism?
Yes, look, let me go back.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The system is so flawed. Have a conversation.
A cohesive, coherent.
That's good. No, let me answer. There are a variety. I'll give you three basic
my God,
strains right now. They don't
Holy
exhaust
shit.
it, but they enable us to have a conversation. One strain. You leave enterprises in the hands of private capitalists.
Oh my God.
But you recognize that the capitalist system is so flawed, for example, in terms of inequality, in terms of business cycle instability, that you give a role to the government of massive intervention, rules, regulations, laws. You know, let me give you some examples. In France, it's the law that once you begin working after graduating from high school or college, every employer has to give you 5 weeks of paid vacation from the beginning. Nothing like that exists in the United States.
France,
Yeah.
a well-known socialist.
Well, they're always saying France is socialist, but we know differently, obviously.
Oh my God.
This is crazy. So America already, why does he even care? According to this definition, America's already socialist.
There you go. Guys, they already won. Communist revolution already happened, everybody. It's over.
Well,
We already live in a communist country.
the libertarians will say that the government doing anything is socialism. So according to this definition, I think the libertarians would agree that this is socialism.
He's become an anarcho-capitalist.
There it is. He totally agrees with them.
There you go.
States. But this is a society that won that for its people, by the way, by socialists who did that and put that on the books, as it is on most European countries. And socialists do that because they believe for them that socialism is when the government comes in and regulates. That's one kind. Here's a second kind. These second kind of socialists, they don't believe it works real well if you do that. It's not enough. So they want to take a different step. They want the government to come in and actually own and operate enterprises, not merely regulate them with rules and laws. Then there's a third.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's
we
Bernie
actually
Sanders.
have Okay, so we have the USSR and China. Okay, so that's an actual definition of socialism. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Third kind, which I stressed a few moments ago.
Wait, though. I mean, he's called that state capitalism in the past. If the government owns the businesses and the workers don't own the business.
Look, we all know that consistency of thought and words is Western imperialistic capitalistic dogma, Adam.
Well, this system is what exists in China. Like in China, yes. You become like you don't own a business unless you're a member of the Communist Party. And if you're a member of the Communist Party, they give you a business to run.
Well, which is not about the government. Doesn't care all that much whether the government runs an enterprise or the private does. They can figure out whichever one works better. Let's be real practical. But for them, what socialism means is the transformation of the everyday life of working people. No longer do you go to work with other people telling you what to do, where to sit, what machine to use, what raw material to work.
Oh my God, can you imagine working in a place like that?
There you go. Look, this is ultra libertarian. Maybe he really is, and maybe he is libertarian. No one tells me what to do.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, you're sitting at this is my desk. Not today, buddy.
I'm sorry. Did you just tell me what to do?
I like this desk. It's by the window. You work outside.
Work on. And at the end of the day, you go home and you've got nothing more to say about what you poured your brains and muscles into. No. For these socialists like me, the crucial thing is...
Oh, no, he's come out. He's saying this is him right here.
Yeah.
Look at the anger. Right. The anger. Someone told me what to do.
To reorganize.
Who's his boss? Does he have a boss?
No.
Nah.
I don't know. Isn't he some professor? He's got to have a boss if he's some professor, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Organize the workplace to bring real democracy. Can you believe it? To the place where we work. In a country that claims to be democratic, we don't have democracy in the workplace. We have a tiny group of people telling the majority what to do, fully unaccountable to that majority. You know, if we really believed in democracy, this kind of socialism argues, we would recognize that that's where adults spend most of their adult life, at work. And if you really believe in democracy, it should have been installed in the workplace. But capitalism doesn't permit that. The folks at the top want to keep the power to keep their inordinate wealth, even at the expense of no democracy and of a growth record inferior to what Russia did in the 20th century and what China is doing now. And that's an enormous price to pay.
Okay. If you're ever having a conversation with someone like this, which obviously normally you don't have a conversation with people like this, but if you are, it's very important for you to say, look, for the sake of ease, for the rest of the conversation, when I use the word socialist or socialism, I will only be referring to your third option. I only be referring to the thing you said you believe. Okay.
Correct.
Because that way that prevents them from doing what he's about to do, and what he did in the beginning of the conversation, where he keeps hopping around between the various definitions of socialism.
Yes. He wants three so he can do Mott and Bailey, basically.
Right.
So if you want to talk about the 2 and 3 definitions of socialism, that would be interesting to me. But I only heard 2 definitions of socialism here. Number 1 is just capitalism. I don't know when this redefining happened of taking capitalism plus government intervention and calling it. Wait. Well, let me finish. Right.
Okay.
I don't know why this was the case that state intervention into private markets to have some form of regulation or some form of socialized healthcare or giving workers 5 weeks off became socialism. It is clearly not socialism. It's so not socialism that I think Marx himself even said that the state would be heavily required in maintaining capitalism, more so than I guess even Marx was able to foresee, because he predicted a revolution of the proletariat in his lifetime. The idea that the state intervening and providing some sort of social welfare or safety net is that's just strictly a capitalist system with some government intervention intervention. If we want to talk about the concept of the government owning and operating enterprises, or number three, the idea is that the workers themselves have some like worker managed thing, I would be interested in discussing either of those two options, as I believe all 5 questions I laid out initially applied to them. But for number one, I wholly reject that as a form of as a form of socialism. If you believe it is, I'd be curious if you can tell me what is the difference between the first thing you laid out and any capitalist that acknowledges that some level of government intervention is necessary in keeping the economy going.
I'd be glad to explain it to you. The history of socialism gets going in the middle of the 19th century. And at that time, socialists began to argue that capitalism was over, capitalism was done, and a better system was available and should be pursued. And they had a whole bunch of ideas about that. They were a relatively small group. If you know the history of Marx and Marxism, it begins relatively small. As the 19th century progresses, it gets larger and larger. And guess what happens when that movement gets larger? Debates begin to happen inside of it as to what in the world capitalism is and what in the world socialism is.
You know, at least with like religions, I mean, this is religion, but at least with like Christianity, there's different names for all the different sects. So when you want to argue about it, you can be like, well, Catholics believe X, or, you know, Episcopalians believe Y, or Baptists believe whatever. But this is just like, well, let's just all call it the same word, so no one knows what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And not
it's all
define
socialism.
themselves.